My name is Mohamed Ba. I'm from Sierra Leone. I'm president and founder of Metsatu Forex Inc. This business was established to help our families back home. And apart from that, presently I'm the president of the Fuller Progressive Union. In my activities, privately, I have helped a lot of our community in here, including Miss Guinea, Miss Sierra Leone, and also I serve the county at the African Trade Office in promoting African trade. Apart from that, currently I am appointed by our former governor, Martin O'Malley, to serve on the Commission on African Affairs, which I'm very proud to serve. And we are continuing on the reign of Larry Hogan at this time, our present governor. And in that area, we actually help to educate our African community about what the state of Maryland is doing, and in terms of helping people access some of the benefits that we are supposed to, that are due to them, because a lot of people don't know how to access those benefits. I've helped a lot in different areas in music, in promoting young artists from Sierra Leone, footballers. I've been supported in a lot of non-profit organizations that try to help back home. I have been doing speaking engagements, promoting African culture, African traditions within the United States. Metsatu Forex Inc. was officially established in 2000, and it was established to help our families back here who wanted to send food and money to their families, especially at the height of the civil war in Sierra Leone, when all the banks and money services were closed. So we took over and helped our families back there. And that included people that traveled ran from Sierra Leone, the refugees that were in Guinea, Senegal, Gambia, and later in Ivory Coast, who were trying to get out of the country. Lately, there's a lot of success stories. We are able to help a lot of our families that were back there. They sent money for them, and they were able to travel back here. During the war, I believe there were about 3,000 to 4,000 people that traveled from Sierra Leone, and most of them have been at our office trying to send money back home to make sure they have the financial need to come back here and study. And these people now that are here are actually doing a lot of economic development back home. A lot of them are building houses. And helping kids and building foundations to help develop the country. And most of them have gone to college and have done a lot in terms of academic studies. We have arrangements with bigger companies like Transfast, and have dealt with more Western Union before for countries that we don't serve, so we can be able to reach other countries that are not within our own area. And apart from that, we have helped a lot of businesses in Sierra Leone and Guinea that wanted to purchase goods in the United States or Asia, for them to be able to purchase without even coming here. So it's like a dual purpose.
My name is Dr. Pam Namai from the African Energy Association, founder and CEO, as well as executive director for Edsel Group. I come from Kenya originally, but now residing here in the United States, in Washington, D.C. African Energy started about 2.5 years ago with a vision that was already birthed in me about 10 years ago. My forte was energy, and I looked at Africa, the continent of Africa, and I said, what can I do to truly contribute to the economy and to contribute to sustainable energy on the continent? And when I say energy, I mean all facets of energy, from the renewables to oil and gas to power, and to make sure that every home, and I mean every home in all corners of the continent, each country in Africa has some source of energy and power. So, under African Energy Association, we are located strategically in Washington, D.C. for the portion of policy making and policy development, from the standpoint that any bill that occurs from the U.S. that affects Africa on energy, we are able to tap into that. We have offices in Nigeria, in Lagos. We have an office also in Ghana. We have an office in Mozambique and now also in Kenya. So we are pretty much in the sub-Saharan Africa with different offices. And under those offices, I have employees, about 5 of them, who are the heads of each country. So the country directors who assist us to really put and push our agenda forward. Under those employees, of course, we have support staff that support the offices and the structure on the continent. What we were set up to do as an advocacy firm and advocacy trade association, our work has really been to, again, advocate for energy supply. In doing so, if you look at the energy space, particularly for the poor and rural economies, where you see the women in the villages using charcoal to still cook, this is a crime. And I don't see how, as an entrepreneur, you can sit down and really allow yourself to move on without eradicating the use of charcoal. So we have an initiative that has started in Nigeria. We're working together with PPMC right now in Nigeria and also spreading across the continent. But the first country that started was in Nigeria, which is called the Gas to Health Initiative, whereby we are encouraging a lot of women to now switch from using charcoal, which has a lot of bad emissions, carbon monoxide, etc., to now using LPG cooking gas. And so there's a lot of training, a map that we've rolled out, a program that we've rolled out called the Mama Put LPG Switch. They switched, meaning switching from charcoal to now LPG gas use. So that's one thing we've done. The other opponent thing that we have opened up is, of course, WEFA. WEFA is the Women Energy Foundation for Africa. So that association, or that campaign, is really focused in educating the women, because I believe for a community to be strong, the women must be empowered to be able to truly tap into other communities and also other generations. I believe it starts from the women, because the woman is the one that cooks, the woman is the one that takes care of the child. And so if you enable them to access power, to access the clean cooking initiatives, I think the community can really rise. I tell you, it's a long story, but I can say that about 15 years ago, when I was in my college, I looked through the window, and as I grew up, I knew that I wasn't in the United States to just benefit myself. I knew I carried the whole of my village on my shoulders. And therefore, with that passion and that drive and the vision that I had, I knew I had to do something to give back to my community. Not just my community, because clearly we've become very diverse. My forte and my liking has been the whole of the continent of Africa. And we know the whole of the continent of Africa is big, 54 countries in it, but specifically we're really focused more on the sub-Saharan market. So when I had that dream, I said to myself, what can I do? Then I started getting into the energy sector in the US. So I started from working for American Gas Association, did a lot of work for them on the Hill, understanding policy making, policy crafting, regulation framework, how the United States work. And when it was time, and I say when I knew it was time, about 2.5 years ago, I was able to transition from that and be able now to focus on Africa while giving Africa an A+ services, given the understanding that I had acquired from the United States. Most of the time when people start business, you don't have a clear path or clear vision and how to really carry that vision, a vehicle to carry the vision. So my advice would be, 1, you must have a very clear vision, and 2, you must also have a structure that can carry that vision. I always remember that before doing any business, I have learned that there must be sincerity and purpose to do whatever you do, because regardless of what business you're in, the vision must be greater than yourself. And that is the lesson that I've learned, that it must be greater than me. It must be greater than the bottom lines, the dollar amount. What can I do to contribute? Because sincerely speaking, we have been put, and I believe, on this earth to not only create meaning for ourselves, but to others. There must be kindness. Again, going back to my point, sincerity and purpose.